Hey guys, Stefan here. In today's beat making video, we're going to focus on balancing your beats with sound selection. Sound selection is the first point of call when making a beat, but for me, it's also the first point of call when mixing a beat. As they say, you cannot polish a turd. You have to start with something good to make something great. You cannot start with sounds that do not fit together. This applies to samplers and soft synths, but it also applies to acoustic instruments like drums and guitars. Many of the sounds that we have in our DAWs were made to sound great by themselves. So when you start playing them, you're automatically wowed. They have things like reverb and delay and long releases already on them to make them sound beautiful by themselves. But when you take those sounds and put them in your track, they just don't blend. They don't fit together with the other instruments in your music. So stay tuned whilst I show you a beat that I've already started that will show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here's the beat, guys. In its bare and skeleton form. It consists of 12 different sounds. We're going to focus on one section, the chorus, as it has the most sounds present. We'll take a look at the sounds I've selected and why. Sound selection should be intentional, and intention comes from having a vision of what you are trying to achieve. With this beat, I wanted to create an emotional hip-hop R&B beat for a singer. I wanted it to have an open sound that relied mainly on a groove. As often, the beat began with a kick. Using Battery 4, I used the file viewer to scan through my samples, previewing each one until I find a kick that I like. Once I found a kick, I throw it into Battery 4. Quick tip, turn down the velocity knob to create kits that play at 127 velocity every time, regardless of how hard you hit your drum pad or keyboard. The kick I chose has a nice sound to it, huge amounts of punch with an airy sound up top to give it presence. The clap is a clean sample that has body, sounds full and is tight. It has a lot of characteristics to it. It sounds like more than one clap put together, which is something that I would normally do myself. With this clap, I don't feel as if I have to. Lastly, I added a shaker from Apple Loops to add some high end and movement to the track. This was actually the last thing that I did, but it made sense to tell you now. Because I was making a beat with a hip hop R&B vibe, my next choice of sound was an EP, an electric piano. I wanted an old school sounding EP, so I chose Kontact's Scarby A200. A great sounding EP with the ability to tweak parameters such as noise level, giving the sound a great deal of authenticity, which I did. The preset that I initially chose, however, came with reverb already put on it. It was important for me to turn this down for two reasons. One, I want all my instruments to sound like they're in the same place. And two, reverb uses a great deal of computer processing power. We're not at the mixing stage yet, so it is not necessary for the time being. Many people, including myself, forget reverb was on a sound and then add even more of a different reverb to the sound when mixing. There are times when it's okay to leave preset reverb on. This is when reverb plays an integral part in why you chose the sound in the first place. Having too many reverbs, however, will prevent you from creating a coherent sound whereby all your instruments gel well together. In keeping with the track's ethos, I chose not to play legato chords with the EP, and I played a rhythm that followed the kick drum. After recording the EP, I needed a sound to complement its chords and rhythm, especially as this was the chorus we're talking about. I wanted to add a soft pad that would fill the section but also have a catchy melody that would add emotive character whilst remaining elusive in the back of the beat. To achieve this, I ended up using 3 different sounds, all playing the same melody. I refrained from using any more chords as I did not want to detract from the EP's groove. The first pad I selected had the softness I was looking for and blended nicely with the EP. I then added a second synth which had a pluck sound to it like a stringed instrument. This brought out the melody. The third pad was ghoulish and ghastly, which brought the emotion I was looking for. A couple of the pads had too much release, however. Release is the time it takes for a note to stop playing once released, or the ring after a note is played. When a release is too long, latter notes can merge into currently playing notes, creating an unpleasant and unclean, muddy sound. I spent time tweaking this using each synth's ADSR envelope. Massive is a lot more complicated than other synths, so I will demonstrate this on the ES2 synth. All 3 pads are recorded in mono, then panned each into its own space, creating a wide stereo image together. It is easier to create separation when using mono instruments. There is a time for both mono and stereo instruments. There's a great link about this in the full blog post. Being a hip hop and R&B beat, I needed a prominent bass line. In selecting a sound, I first acknowledged that the most important part of this track is the groove, and in order for the groove to remain king, I knew the bass line would have to do 2 things. 1, follow the pattern of the kick drum, and 2, be audible in laptop, phone and other low budget speakers. So I chose a sound that had a lot of mid frequencies to achieve this. This bass also had a nice gritty hip hop sound to it. I recorded in a bass line that was very spaced out, using only short notes and unquantized, keeping in line with the beat's ethos. I then added a sub bass to follow this bass line to beef up the track. However, this won't be heard as much on lower budget speakers. Lastly, I added a soft synth using contour that would follow the bass line but at a higher frequency, further reinforcing the importance of the bass line in this track. This soft synth is a prime example of a sound being made to sound great by itself. It has a host of effects already present, reverb and echo among them. I removed and tweaked any conflicting effects in this sound before I was happy. This is how far I got with this track, and I plan to remain working in this fashion to its completion. I may return to this track in the future as a continuation to this video. If that is something you would like to see, with maybe the addition of vocals, drop a comment in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and a share. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you've learnt something from this video, and I'll see you next time. Take care.